Good morning and welcome to today's video. In today's episode, how cycling in London is changing for the better. I'm just heading into London to meet a guy called Calum who knows a little bit more about it than I do. Calum, nice to meet you, man. You're very red.
Red football teams do better. Red cycle campaigns do better.
From a distance, I wasn't sure which one was you.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, it happens all the time.
Should we do a little spin?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So there's loads of new people riding bikes since lockdown, isn't there?
Sure is. As we know, the Prime Minister was the former mayor, and during his time in office here, we did actually strike up quite a good relationship with Boris Johnson and his special transport advisor Andrew Gilligan, and we have shown them that look, this is the way forward. Our future is not going to be best spent in a van sitting in traffic for hours at a time. It's well spent, people having an enjoyable, fun way to get around, costs nothing, leaves them with more money to spend in the broader part of the economy. So the mood music from the government is really good. Crucially, from the executive leadership, they are supportive of cycling, and this is a golden hour for the cycle campaigning sector more broadly.
Good for LCC.
It is good for LCC.
What is LCC?
That is a great question. So the London Cycling Campaign was actually formed in 1978, but before that we were actually many independent groups, one for each borough of London, and some of these groups are still going today. So basically in the 1970s there was a major start of the environmental movement off the back of petrol becoming more expensive. So you got all these independent groups who found that all of a sudden cycling was much more dangerous in London because of the proliferation of cars and vans, which were getting bigger and bigger and faster. So LCC kind of formed as the central head to represent all of the groups directly to the Greater London Authority. We're a membership organisation of about 11,500 members at the moment. Everyone who joins is covered by our insurance policy, but crucially, the more members we have, the more clout we have with the various councils and with the mayor and all the other various stakeholders, including the police and the royal parks. So basically, we bang the drum for cyclists to everyone and anyone in London who will listen.
We seem to be standing on what appears to be some new infrastructure. Is it permanent?
What we're standing on is permanent. There was a big redesign of what's called the Bank Junction by the City of London Corporation. So if you're not from London, you may not know that there's actually two Londons. There's the big London, which we all know and love, and then there's the City of London Corporation. So where we are right now is administered by the City of London Corporation, which has its own police. It's actually older than the United Kingdom. It goes back to the Roman times.
That's why the police are in different uniforms.
Indeed.
Right.
So, but fortunately for us, the city are actually well keen on cycling. They've picked up on the message really hard that actually the guys who work around here, people who come through here, they don't want to be paying for taxis, and they want to be enjoying their time out on bikes or wherever else it is they're getting around. They were one of the soonest authorities in London to stick out all this decking, to close roads to cyclists, and kudos to them. They are doing a good job of it. There's a real tendency for the authorities to think in terms of, well, we'll look after our patch and our patch will be fine. But as we all know, the city is a system, it's all connected. So if all the boroughs are outside of the City of London, if they're not safe to get through, it doesn't matter how great it is inside the City of London, all the rest of the boroughs need to up their game, basically. So it's all about, it's the sum of its parts. We're just going to have to, applaud people doing a great job, and perhaps give a little bit of a prod to the people who are behind on their obligations. London Cycling Campaign is not a pretty name. Campaigning, it's a verb, and we will hold people accountable when they don't fulfil their end of the bargain. Yeah, here it is.
Big pile of stuff.
It is. And what's it going to do? We're yet to find out. It does say Street Scene Improvement Works. The City of London are working in partnership with Riney. So there's a clue.
Hopefully it doesn't just sit there. Good cones. Are they just trialling this, do you think?
Well,
and it will turn into solid infrastructure soon.
I really hope they do, because to be honest, it's ugly. It's
well, I don't want to keep it like that.
No, it's what someone once said to me. It's better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. but you know, it's not really in keeping with the character of the city. Is that going to inspire confidence in someone who's never ridden a bike before? There's quite a lot of pressure on the UK supply chain more broadly. There's a huge waiting list for cameras, for example.
Yeah.
And there's a big waiting list for barriers, for even just for basic cones. You'll see a lot of cones and barriers that look very new, and it's literally because they are working hammer and tongs to print this stuff out, because no one saw this coming.
I've noticed just riding through London this morning to come and meet Calum, there's loads of places where they've widened the pavement, obviously because of social distancing, but along with that they've often put extra cycle paths along the edge. So it has been quite good, just depends how much of it ends up being permanent, I guess. Way I go into London.
Yeah, lucky you.
Some of it's got these new wands to separate the traffic and some of it hasn't.
Indeed. Unfortunately, what we call the blue paint era was kind of like the last decade, where we thought, well, you know, we'll just paint some bits on the road and the cars will stay that side and the cycles will stay that side. Unfortunately, it turns out that like some motorists have trouble observing paint, and that paint somehow doesn't keep you safe from a 2-ton HGV. We kind of pressed them hard on this to say that, look, this blue paint doesn't make people feel safe, and it's not going to make the people who don't currently cycle feel any better in doing it. So they have knocked these wands in, which are a bit more of a physical deterrent. They are still, you know, it's not Fort Knox, but they are certainly better than nothing. And so, because they're so quick to install as well, literally you just get a drill and just in they go. One of the things we have got TfL to do is change the way they do what's called temporary works. So in the olden days, on Railton Road, that's the old cycle path, they would just close it and they'd be like, get on the road. But we have made the case to them that they do need to alter their method statement so that the segregated cycleway continues. So they have, to be fair to them, yeah, exactly. And where they can't do that, they've taken our feedback on board like the London Bridge. So they've made it so that, yeah, you share the lane with the buses and the taxis, but it's not so wide that they can like dangerously overtake you. And they've also closed it to all other traffic. So ideally the drivers are a bit more trained on the bridge with you instead of just like general traffic.
This is new.
Sure is.
This is a modal filter.
It's better than that, mate. It's called a low traffic neighbourhood. So basically, this whole area is called the Oval Triangle, and there's going to be a modal filter on the end of every street that goes out onto the main road. So basically, the result of that is that cars can come in, they can come out, but they can't go through. You know, like,
and that's what causes all of the
exactly.
Jams,
Sadly, like I love my smartphone to bits, but everyone's got one now, and when you switch on Waze, it will take you through residential neighbourhoods, and it just makes life pretty miserable for everyone who lives here, because as I'm sure you can appreciate, the main road gets chocker in the mornings, so everyone just thinks, I've got a great idea, I'll cut through this like leafy residential neighbourhood where all the kids are going to school. And like, that's, to be honest, more than cycle lanes, I think the low traffic neighbourhoods have a real that's where the real potential lies, because it doesn't have that dynamic of we're taking space away from drivers. We are literally keeping the kids safe. Quite often stuff like this is billed as a road closure, but the way that we prefer to phrase it is actually this road is open to everyone.
So this is one of the most controversial pieces of new cycling infrastructure in London.
It sure is.
You said.
And yet, you know, one that's making gold, I'd say. So this is what's called the Railton Road low traffic neighbourhood. Railton Road is it connects in a sort of market area in Herne Hill and Brockwell Park into Brixton. And just as in the oval scheme, this is now, you can drive in, you can drive out, you can't come through. And it's going to be enforced with cameras as well. So on the other side of this post, there's a warning of, if you want to drive through here, it's going to cost you. Like any change, there's some teething problems, and when people drive, they kind of drive on autopilot, to be honest, especially if they're using a sat-nav network that hasn't actually clocked on.
So people just still come through?
Yeah, they still do.
There'll be a period of adjustment.
Yeah, but you know what? People, as you've just seen, people are using it. It is working, and we just got to just keep banging on, keep persevering, and let it bed in.
Where are we now?
Well, you are in the salubrious space of Dulwich Square, which is it's a mini. It's there's not a lot. There's only 5, 7, 8, 10 planters, but this has had a huge effect because it's created this like it's like an Italian style piazza. Obviously today is Wednesday, so there's not much going on, but at weekends we've actually seen like music events and stuff going on here. As you can see, kids have like decorated it for themselves, and this is quite a special place for me because that over there is my old school, and as you can see, there's like kids have put posters up saying, can you stop poisoning us please with your vehicles, it really sucks. Like I would never ride to school when I was a kid because like it'd be crazy, but you come here at like 8 a.m. in the morning, this place is absolutely chocker, and it's not just people coming through it as well, people will stop here and hang out. It's a really nice space to be in. We're not going to lie down and let this one go away. It's a terrific space and we're very proud of it.
Mate, take care.
And you.
Ride safe.
And you. Figure it out.
Please, beautiful. Bumped into Jakey on the way back home. Little sprint test for the Insta360, which I used for all the B-roll in today's video. Let me know what you thought of that. It was my first time using the editing software as well. I need to get my head around it, work out how to reframe and do all that stuff, but pretty happy with the results so far. If you would like to know more about the London cycling campaign, where Calum works, link down below. I think he gave me a link to a discount if you want to join and you're one of my viewers, so I'll put that in the description. Lovely to spin around town and see the changes. A lot of it still seems to be temporary, loads of cones, a few signs, but the traffic-free neighbourhood's amazing idea. I'm going to sign today's video off now. Really hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.